Heard from people who were very, very much involved 20 odd years ago, more than 20 years ago, in resurrecting Camilla. Their job was to take her from the mistress in 1996 and get her to be queen.
Just before midnight of February 5th, 2026, Buckingham Palace issued a highly unusual statement at 11:59 p.m, bypassing normal business hours and skipping the typical advance notice given to royal correspondents. This extreme timing immediately signaled to experts that the palace was attempting to release massive news while public attention was at its lowest. The statement cited a previously unheard of legal document, the late Queen Elizabeth II's sealed royal independence codicil, to announce that the private estate of Anmer Hall would be transferred into the exclusive custodianship of Princess Anne, effective immediately. For those familiar with royal tradition, this move is unprecedented. Anmer Hall has been the long-time country retreat of Prince William and Catherine, where they raised their children and spent significant private time. The decision to bypass the direct line of succession, Prince William and King Charles, in favor of the Princess Royal via an obscure legal mechanism has baffled legal experts and royal watchers alike. The situation became even more explosive just 45 minutes later, when palace aides confirmed details that stunned even the most experienced members of the royal press corps. Watch what Princess Anne just said.
And those sort of observations are...
Contrary to popular belief, Anmer Hall was never actually part of the Crown Estate or the Duchy of Lancaster. Instead, Queen Elizabeth II placed it into a unique legal category designed to bypass institutional succession and protect it from commercial ventures, such as those reportedly being planned by Queen Camilla and Tom Parker Bowles. While the public views the 10-bedroom Georgian house on the Sandringham estate as a simple country retreat, its history is far more complex. Originally built in the 18th century, it was purchased by King George V in 1916. Though officially labelled as extra housing, unsealed archives reveal it served as a high-security military command post, an encrypted communication hub during both World Wars, complete with the now sealed underground tunnel connecting it to a nearby bunker. By the 1980s, the Queen repurposed the home into a moral sanctuary, a rare, staff-free zone where she could escape state business and the press. The property contains hidden vaults and underground areas that even the younger royals who lived there were restricted from accessing. During the Queen's final years, her bond with Princess Anne grew over their shared connection to the estate, leading to frequent private visits that were far more personal than ceremonial. They weren't photo opportunities. Anne would arrive quietly, often staying for several days at a time, and the two of them would spend hours together in parts of the house that no one else entered. They'd walk the grounds discussing history duty, the future of the monarchy, they'd sit in the sealed chapel together, and critically the Queen was teaching Anne about something that would only make sense years later. She was teaching her how to be a steward of royal memory. Former staff described seeing them in the underground archive rooms, carefully reviewing old documents, discussing what needed to be preserved, and how the Queen was showing Anne materials that had never been catalogued officially. Personal letters, war correspondence, audio recordings of private conversations with world leaders. One staff member who witnessed these visits said it this way: Her Majesty wasn't just showing Princess Anne a property, she was entrusting her with institutional memory that couldn't be allowed to fall into the wrong hands. And then in October 2019, something remarkable happened. The Queen spent a weekend alone at Anmer Hall. No staff, no security. Beyond the absolute minimum, just her in that house with her memories and her thoughts about the future. And during that weekend, she wrote something that would change everything. She called it the Anne Codex. It was a leather-bound manuscript written entirely in the Queen's own handwriting, and inside was a complete account of Anmer Hall's hidden history, its strategic importance, its architectural secrets. But more than that, it was a set of instructions, a manual for guardianship. According to people who have now seen portions of the Codex, the Queen documented everything: the location of the sealed archive vaults, the contents of the underground chapel, the photograph recordings stored in climate-controlled chambers, correspondence with Churchill, Thatcher, Mandela, that had never been made public. But the most powerful part was personal. On the opening page, the Queen had written for Anne, who asked nothing but serves all. And on the final page, a directive: "This house is yours when I am no longer the steward, guard it as you would a soldier's grave." The Codex was sealed and placed in Windsor's South Vault under the supervision of the Queen's private solicitor. It was locked with a triple seal system that could only be opened by specific people: the Duke of Kent, the Royal Archivist, and Princess Anne herself. And it stayed there completely secret until January 28, 26. But while that codex was locked away, Queen Camilla and Tom Parker Bowles were developing very different plans for Anmer Hall, plans that had nothing to do with preservation and everything to do with profit. The effort by Queen Camilla to seize control of Anmer Hall began much earlier than suspected, with leaked documents showing she was investigating the estate's legal status as far back as August 2025. While her inquiries initially appeared focused on maintenance and taxpayer funding, legal experts quickly realized her true intent. She was attempting to reclassify the property as public heritage rather than private royal land. Such a shift would allow her to control its operations without needing to inherit it directly. By October 2025, Tom Parker Bowles had already moved forward by registering a company in Luxembourg called Crown Grove Holdings Limited, specifically designed to transform Anmer Hall into a luxury commercial destination. Backed by international investors and branding consultants, they developed a massive £82 million redevelopment plan. This proposal included converting the East Library into an ultra-exclusive culinary sanctum, charging guests £4,000 a night for curated dining. Even more controversial was the plan for a wellness cloister, which would have seen the historic World War II bunkers and military installations repurposed into a high-end spa offering sovereignty sleep packages. This commercialization of a historic and private sanctuary marked a significant escalation in the struggle over the estate. The fallout from the failure of Crown Grove Holdings was not merely a financial collapse. It was a total dismantling of a specific vision for the modern monarchy that Queen Camilla and Tom Parker Bowles had spent 18 months meticulously constructing. By February 5, 2006, the ambitious £82 million project had completely evaporated, leaving behind a trail of legal disputes and damaged reputations. The Parisian venture firms and UAE conglomerates, realizing that the Royal Independence Codicil created a legal fortress they could never breach, withdrew their capital with clinical speed. For Tom Parker Bowles, the consequences were deeply personal and professional. The revelation that he had been planning a fractional co-ownership scheme, essentially a high-stakes royal timeshare, was viewed by the old guard of the palace as an unforgivable breach of sovereign integrity. His luxury food brand, which had sought to capitalize on royal wild branding, was suddenly toxic. European distributors, fearing the wrath of a newly emboldened Princess Anne and the legal weight of the Privy Seal office, froze all contracts. Behind the scenes at Clarence House, the atmosphere was described as radioactive. Camilla's fury was directed not just at the Duke of Kent and Princess Anne, but at the institutional memory of the monarchy itself. She had viewed Anmer Hall as an underutilized asset, a relic that could be modernized to fund the family's contemporary lifestyle. She had underestimated the late Queen's capacity for long-range defense. When King Charles reportedly told her that the disaster was her own mistake, it signaled a shift in the internal power dynamics of the family. Charles, though king, found himself unable and unwilling to override the Seal of Stillness, a mechanism that effectively placed Anmer Hall in a legal vacuum for the next century. This was the Queen's final masterstroke. She didn't just leave the house to Anne, she removed the house from the Game of Thrones entirely. While the commercial world was in an uproar, the scene at Anmer Hall itself was one of profound, heavy silence. When Princess Anne returned to the estate alone on February 5th, she didn't come as a conqueror, but as a daughter fulfilling a grueling sacred duty. The image of her unlocking the side cellar door with the key the Queen had once kept around her neck became an instant icon of royal service. As she walked through the underground archives and the hidden chapel, she was effectively reclaiming the moral sanctuary her mother had cherished. The legacy stillness plan that Anne subsequently outlined is perhaps the most radical act of preservation in the history of the House of Windsor. In an era where every royal moment is curated for social media or sold to streaming services, Anne's insistence on analog-only preservation is a direct challenge to the modern cult of transparency. By refusing to digitize the Queen's private journals, the wartime communication logs, or the recordings held within the vaults, Anne is ensuring that some parts of the monarchy remain truly private. She understands that the power of the crown lies in its mystery, not its accessibility. Her rejection of the National Trust in various European archives was not an act of hostility, but a fulfillment of the Queen's specific directive. Some things are meant to be understood in silence, not curated in glass. This philosophy has resonated with the British public that is increasingly weary of the commercialization of their national identity. The 76% approval rating for Anne's stewardship suggests that the people prefer a monarchy that guards its secrets over one that sells its stories. The question of future guardianship now looms over the estate, yet even here Anne has defied tradition. By indicating that the next steward of the stillness will be chosen by temperament and trust rather than birthright, she is introducing a meritocratic element into the most private corner of the royal family. Whether it is Lady Louise Windsor, known for her quiet dedication to the archives, or a future, more mature Princess Charlotte, the criteria will be the same: the ability to say no. This is the quality the Queen saw in Anne, the spine of the monarchy that could withstand the immense pressure of family ambition and global commercial interests. The single photograph released by the palace, showing Anne standing before the ivy-covered walls of Anmer Hall in her riding coat, serves as a final punctuation mark on this chapter. She is the guardian of a covenant, a promise made between a mother and daughter that some places are too sacred for the marketplace. As the candle burns in the hidden chapel on April 21st, it will not be for the cameras or the tourists, but for the memory of a queen who knew that the only way to protect the future was to secure the past in a vault of silence. Anmer Hall is no longer a house. It is a fortress of integrity, a reminder that true legacy isn't found in what you build or what you sell, but in what you refuse to give away. The Queen's voice, channeled through Anne's quiet resolve, has made it clear the sanctuary remains unbroken, the trust remains intact, and the House of Windsor, for all its modern struggles, still possesses a core that cannot be bought.